Well, the great gun debate continues as Vice President Joe Biden wraps up his task force meetings this week. Joining us now for a fair and balanced debate on some of the potential recommendations, radio talk show hosts Leslie Marshall and Mark Davis. Welcome to the two of you. Great to have you here today.
Good to be with you. Hi.
Hi. Let's talk for a moment, Mark, about what's at play right now. Do you expect that the White House is going to impose some executive orders when it comes to implementing some of these recommendations?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I can't read their minds. I can understand the temptation because a lot of the things they say are oh so sensible and oh so urgently needed are things that will not pass either House of Congress. So it's got to be tempting for them to want to do it by the magic fiat of the wave of their mighty hand. I don't think they'll do executive order. I think that would be unpopular on all sides. I'll check with Leslie on that. But if they put it up to Congress, we're going right to a constitutional battle for the ages. So bring it on.
Leslie, when it comes to executive orders, lots of folks would be very upset if the White House circumvents Congress.
Well, I would agree with Mark. I think you're right, Mark, that we agree on that. No, I don't think there's going to be an executive order here. Although I would disagree with Mark as to the response in the House and the Senate. You have to remember that, whether people are out there, buying guns or ammunition, people want responsible gun ownership. People are concerned about some of the background checks. And in some states like Aurora, Colorado, for example, there was no link to anyone with mental illness, such as Mr. Holmes, and that can present a problem. So it's not, this is not a debate about taking away the Second Amendment. This is a debate in actually unifying our country so that we can be safer and have a safer nation for our children. We shouldn't be fearful to drop our children off at school.
It can be. If people are as reasonable as Leslie is, we can avoid the Second Amendment squabble because the NRA itself is all about making sure that we take people who should not be touching guns in the first place, ex-mental patients, ex-criminals, and make sure about that. But when we start to talk about ammo clips and which guns are going to be available, that is a Second Amendment issue, and it could get messy.
Let me ask you this, Mark. I mean, first off, when the NRA talked about arming security guards, the White House dismissed that proposal as something that they would never even consider. But now we're hearing, as I mentioned earlier in the show, that Senator Barbara Boxer is proposing some legislation to bring up before the president to go ahead and do this and use federal funds to pay for these security guards. What do you think of this? Is this hypocrisy?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, listen, I think there's such a thing as Democrats, who, and Leslie may well be one of them, who recognize that good people with guns are not to be feared. Our own Lieutenant Governor, David Dewhurst, in a story you guys ran just a few minutes ago, he's going to try to provide some state funding so that teachers who want to, nobody's going to make anybody do it, can get training so that they can be the person to stop the next Adam Lanza. That is nothing but a good idea.
Leslie?
Oh, boy. How much time do we have? Okay, I'll be brief. First of all, please don't talk to me, about the founding forefathers with high caliber magazine clips. I think they would roll in their grave, and if they could come back from the dead, I wish they would to tell us if they had agreed to that. But when we talk about in the schools, when we talk about, Columbine had armed guards in the schools. So I'm not sure that's going to solve all. I live in Los Angeles. Well, we have metal detectors in some of the LA Unified School District schools, and that doesn't stop some kids from bringing guns into the schools and other weapons such as knives and hurting each other. As far as the teacher training, I'm really uncomfortable sending my child to school where there is a gun with a teacher. I'm actually more comfortable with them having, a police officer. And you want to talk hypocrisy? I think it's hysterical that the NRA and those of the right are talking about maybe wanting armed guards in the school or police officers, because aren't those the very people, those union workers that you constantly want to cut the paychecks of, the pensions of, the health care benefits of? Now you want to hire more of them since Newtown. Do anything, but don't put more guns on the list or clips on the list that can't be used. Come on.
All right, that'll have to be the last word, guys.
There's moral equivalency there.
Okay.
There's no such thing as a good gun or a bad gun. It depends on in whose hands you find it.
All right, there you go. This debate could go on and on. I thank you both for joining us. It's always wonderful to have you here on the show.
Thank you.
All the best to you.
Always good to be with you.